for the first door, turn right and then right again, yeah.
Calling in the troops, 100 have been drafted in to deliver supplies and check on households which have been without power for a week.
We've come here to support the local authorities in some of the tasks they've got going on at the moment. Things like food packages and cooking equipment for those who require it in particular. And then just highlighting people who potentially have medical vulnerabilities which require further support.
A major incident was declared yesterday and troops arrived this morning at the request of Durham County Council. Some residents, however, would like to have seen them here earlier.
I think the army could have been called in much sooner because, I mean, like, there are so many people. I mean, I was very lucky. I was able to go to my daughter's and her partner, and I've been well looked after. But there's a lot of people in the village who have been totally and utterly isolated.
Why has it taken nearly a week to draft the army in?
Yeah, and I can understand people thinking that. I think if you go back to when this incident started last weekend, we were very much working with the data that Northern Power Grid provided, and that data was suggesting that power would be back on across the county by Monday. When it became clearer on Monday, Tuesday, that supplies weren't going to be back on, we stepped up our SCG, we put our emergency plans in place, and effectively you're now seeing the response that we've got on the ground in County Durham.
Fire and Rescue, Police, the Council and Northern Power Grid are among the teams which have been working together, delivering supplies all week. There's also a help centre set up in the village of St John's Chapel. But for some residents, frustration is boiling over.
But that's not my job.
No, so what I'm asking you is, will you sit down, give us these examples?
Yeah. Feeling frustrated?
Very emotional again today because I'm sick of hearing of the powers that be that are telling people that they are doing things and have done things when they haven't, and they turn up in suits and going on camera and then walking away again.
Absolutely understand people's frustration. It's been nearly a week. What we need to do is we need to deal with the situation as it is now, and what we've committed to do is after this look at a full debrief, do a full investigation and review of what lessons can be learned, and that includes coming out and speaking to the people who've been affected.
Respectfully, is that an admission that enough hasn't been done so far?
No, it's not. What we need to look at is the fact that this is the whole of County Durham. It hasn't just been one area. So there are so many resources that we have, which is why we have declared this an emergency incident.
Ordinarily, this place is the village hall, but for the last 2 days, it's been operating as a cafe where people can drop in for hot food and drink. And before this place was open, because it had no power, well, the volunteers were doing this on the street. Warming up is Gail and her family.
The house now is actually colder inside than what the temperature is outside. So we're sleeping in, you know, like your socks, your normal nightwear, keeping your dressing gown on, and we've got 2 quilts.
Meanwhile, Northumberland today declared its own major incident after the storm.
I hate to put a figure on how many trees have been lost in this bit of Northumberland. Hundreds of thousands. It's not just an odd tree knocked over a fence, it's whole woods and whole bits of woods, and, you know, trees which are 200 and 300 years old, as well as the little ones.
About 80% of our fibre network is underground and buried, but the remaining 20% that's overhead has been hit quite hard. We're back up to about 90% back on. It's this last 10% that's going to be the challenge for us.
The army will be here for at least the next few days and could stay longer if needed. Extra respite at least for those families facing another night in the cold. Well, these repair vans behind me have pretty much been a constant sight here all week as teams continue to try and fix the problem. Northern Power Grid has taken over the village hall, which is just behind me here, offering food and advice to people who are affected, running it with Durham County Council. And that is open from early until late. And all of those in charge, all the authorities here have been stressing today that this has been an unprecedented situation caused by an unprecedented storm, made worse by trying to fix problems in particularly rural locations.
A number of our people who are not on supply yet are going to be going through, unfortunately, for a few more days yet, and we're just working through that information to be able to give people better information. But in the meantime, we're also wrapping around that welfare support. So for domestic customers who need a bit of help, extra help, they might want help with accommodation or with hot meals, we're giving them that extra help to enable them to just cope better, I suppose, with these very difficult circumstances.
Well, in response to what was referred to in the news item you just saw, Northern Power Grid tonight told us that it's disappointed to hear that the council said it didn't act sooner based on Northern Power Grid data. It says it was always clear about the scale of the damage, and tonight the company told us that 98% of customers do have their power back on, but around 6,000 homes across the northeast are still affected, and for those affected it could be until next Wednesday until the problem is entirely cleared up. Now, not everybody here in the village and surrounding areas are angry. Some have told me that the authorities are doing their best under particularly difficult circumstances, but certainly after a week of these ongoing problems, many of them say that it's the community spirit which is helping to keep them warm.